Car Sales Talk 101, where it's all about life in the car business. Telling you like it is. Here's the man with the plan, Terry Cameron. Let's get started.
Welcome back to Car Sales Talk 101. I'm Terry Cameron. Thanks for hanging out again with me today. This week, we're going to talk about the hottest prospects, other than the customers you had in the showroom yesterday and the day before, but the hottest prospects in your CRM. But before we do, I want to answer a question from several of you. Without giving out any names, I've had a couple people email me and say, hey, more than salespeople listen to your podcast. Some people that aren't even in the business listen to it, and you're telling them our secrets. And I got a couple of those. In so many words, they meant the same thing. Well, let me tell you, guys, I also received an email from Michael B. And Michael B. says he was listening to the podcast because his son wants to be a car salesman. He does not want his customer to be a car salesperson, or should I say he didn't want his son to get into the car business. And I can understand why. Until you get it down, it could be rough and tough, long hours, but he figured it out. He listened to the podcast, not only mine, but others, and he told me that he didn't realize just how much went into being a car salesman, especially a professional car salesman. He also didn't realize just how people treated car salespeople unfairly. So he said next time he goes to a car dealership, he's going to be a lot nicer to the salesperson. He said that is as long as they are nice and professional to him. But after listening to several of the podcast episodes, he decided to give his son the green light, and next month will be his first day on the job. It's going to be in Wisconsin, so it's not going to be that cold. It's a perfect time of the year to start selling cars, to learn. And I think he's going to be great because he's listening to not only this podcast, but others, and he's watching videos, and he's learning before he steps foot on the showroom for the very first time. He's going to be a go-getter, and we'll probably hear from him later. But let's get back to this episode's topic, and that's the 36-month trade cycle. Now, it depends on which poll you listen to, but somewhere between 32 and 36 months is the average trade time for a customer. That's when they decide to trade their car in. That's when they get a little bit tired of it. That's when the new model comes out. That's when they're not quite as upside down as they were, and they might even have some equity depending upon how they got into the loan in the first place and how long it was. But 36 months. I want you to think about this. In your CRM, how many customers do you have phone numbers to and emails to that you can contact that bought cars 3 years ago? There's got to be a ton of them. Now, we tried this at a dealership I worked at before. I was the corporate trainer, and it was a rather large dealership, 60, 70 salespeople. And each morning we got together with me, and we had different shifts, and we had salespeople calling customers that purchased cars, trucks, SUVs 32 to 36 months in the past. And that's all they did was call them to check and see if they still had the vehicle. And I'll get into exactly what call tractor we used in a second, but I want to tell you the results first. We did this from 10 o'clock to 11:30 each morning. And we came out of these sessions with anywhere from 20 to 30 appointments for customers to come in and get their car appraised, complimentary appraisal, and to find out just how much their car is worth and whether or not they wanted to sell it to us. Think about that, 20 to 30. Now, if you're in a smaller dealership like the one I'm at right now, I think 10 to 15 appointments out of each one of these sessions is realistic, especially in today's environment where everybody is afraid to come out and step on a showroom floor that they're going to get some kind of disease. So what we use when we talk to these customers, we would just call them. And I want you to think about this now. When was the last time a salesperson called you and didn't try to sell you something? Yeah, I can't remember that either. So this is what we told the customers. We called them, and if they answered, and if they didn't answer, we left the same message on their voicemail. We called them and told them that we were just following up, updating our records. We know that they purchased their car from us almost 3 years ago, and we wanted to make sure they still had it. And if they did, great. We'd like to give you a complimentary appraisal on it and maybe have the opportunity to sell it to us. We also like to update our records and make sure you're still at the same address. So when we did this, customers opened up because we weren't saying, hey, you want to come trade it in? No, we were offering to buy it from them. And guess what? If we buy the car from them, what do they need? That's right. They need something to drive away in. I cannot tell you how successful this was, but I can also tell you that it flat out died the minute we stopped making those phone calls. It's funny. People didn't come in anymore, and the purchase cars 32 to 36 months ago say, hey, can I get a free appraisal? Of course, we do that, but they just don't happen. We have got to do something to get them up off of their butt and bring their car into us. And it's funny. You know, even though it worked, the salespeople that did this, that sold cars, it's funny how they just decided it wasn't worth it anymore. And guys, I'm telling you, when we had these 20 to 30 appointments, we sold 4 or 5 of those appointments that showed up every single day. Add those numbers to your numbers. If you're a 100 car store, add another 15 or 20 sales to that. I know that makes a difference to your bottom line. And if you're a 100 car store, you probably only have 6 or 7 salespeople, maybe 8 or 9, and hopefully no more than that, and still selling 10 cars. But just think how much happier salespeople are going to be when they're selling, instead of 8 or 9 cars a month, when they start selling to 10 to 12 a month. The numbers are going to go through the roof. Customer satisfaction is going to go through the roof. So again, let's talk about this again. Customers trade their cars in every 32 to 36 months. Why are we not marketing ourselves to them? We should be calling these people because it's not an if, it's a when they're going to trade it in. Now, here's the other kicker. When we made these phone calls, I can't say how many people said, man, we just bought one from somewhere else down the road last week, even yesterday. We just missed them. So it's proof that they are trading every 32 to 36 months. They're just not trading with us, with you. But they will if you reach out to them. Here's another thing I want you to think about. Why not start talking to them, 28 to 30 months out, setting them up for it, staying in touch with them. Don't call your customers and ask them if they want to trade in their car. You're just like every other salesperson. Call them, you're updating your records, and you want to find out if they still own that vehicle. Here's something else you can do. If they don't own that vehicle, what vehicle do they own? We'll give them a free appraisal on that also. We had a couple salespeople say, yeah, I just hung up because they didn't live there anymore and somebody else answered the phone. Well, you know what? Those people that answer the phone also have cars, and they may want their car appraised. Or a better word is an evaluation, a complimentary evaluation of their vehicle. Just in case, down the road a bit, they want to trade it in or sell it to us. And you know what? We'll be happy to do that down the road a bit also. So if you want to start selling cars right away, I would suggest that you get into the dealership, talk with management, and ask them, hey, can you give me some people, some leads from 32 to 36 months ago? And let me call those people. And don't give up just because the first 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 didn't work. Don't give up. I promise you, they're trading their car in. They're going to trade it in somewhere. And there's no better place or person than you. You just have to ask for it. Okay, guys, do me a big favor. Like the lady says at the end of this episode, hop on over to Apple Podcast or whatever platform you listen to this on, and give me a rating and maybe even a review. I sure do appreciate it. And thanks again, Michael B., for letting me know that how important it was for you to listen to this podcast and other podcasts and giving your son the thumbs up to going into a lucrative Sky's the limit business. I'll talk to you guys next week.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Please rate it and write a review on Apple Podcast. We appreciate your valuable feedback. You can email Terry at 10minutesalestalk@hot.rr.com. And don't forget to share the show with a friend.